So I got this caller on my show this week, and he said, in short, he implied or said, because I don't remember the whole conversation, that it's okay to be like somebody else. Did y'all hear, anybody hear that conversation about him? He was saying that somebody was trying to be like Michael Jordan. He used that as a reason, an example of being like, who think that it's okay to be like somebody else? What do you think about that? Is it okay to be like someone else?
Not in my opinion.
Have you ever tried to be like someone else?
No.
You never tried your whole life?
Never.
Really?
I've never wanted to conform. I came out of the womb that way. If
Nice.
they say wear black, I wear white.
Yeah, I've heard people rebel like that. Most of that, those are the people that get on the street and narrow path too. You should never, and so I asked the guy, did you have your hand about this? About the dogs? Okay, I'll come back to you with that. Just think about this. If you're trying to be like somebody else, how are you going to be you? You got to get away from you to try to be like someone else, and then once you become like them, you're now acting like them. You're not being yourself. The real you can't even be used by God because you've taken on not only the devil's identity, but somebody else's identity. There's never a time to be like, and really you're not even like them. In your mind you think you're like them, you're acting like them, you talk like them, you say what they say, but you're still being your crazy self. But in your mind you think you're being like them. You know, I have never in my whole life wanted to be like anyone else. Even as a kid, like you were saying, I refused to be like, and I wasn't trying not to be like anyone else, I just didn't want to be like anyone else. I wanted to be me. I wanted to know what it's like to be me. And I would see people taking on other people's identities and sound like them, sound like the preacher, sound like the musician, sound like somebody, blah, 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 right? But I never wanted to be like someone else. Because as soon as you become like somebody else, if you disagree with them, now that somebody else, you're taking on their identity, you blame them. It was you that wanted to be like them. They didn't make you be that way. You don't want to. Now I learn so much from other people. Because I listen, I pay attention without judging what they say or do, and I learn a lot from other people. I really do. But I don't want to be like them. God didn't put me on earth to say, okay, Jesse, I'm going to give you what I want you to have, but I want you to go down there. You could be like Jojo if you want. You be you. You'll be best at being you. Your own talk, your own laughter, your own smiles, your own self. Does that make sense? Yes.
I heard that call that you're referencing, and I want to know your opinion. Do you think, because it seemed on one hand that the caller was saying that he was inspired, that he felt it would be okay to be inspired, not necessarily like someone, but Michael Jordan came from wherever he came from and became a huge icon. So it seemed like he was saying for children or people who want to aspire to achieve that level of success, can they be inspired by that without being like an individual?
Interesting. I think I tried to heard that and tried to get through that too like that. You say you heard the same thing?
Yeah, I somewhat agree with, I think that's what he meant, and I do agree with that. Because I think sort of like how God told Jesus to model himself after whatever that guy in the Bible. Melchizedek. Yeah, Melchizedek. So I think that there's like, but it is dangerous because I definitely have done it a lot, so I know that it's a dangerous thing to, but yeah, I think you can model after something or be inspired in a sense without it becoming too identifying.
Inspired in what way? And I'm not saying this wrong, and I wanted a conversation about this too, so. When you say inspired in what way?
Well, yeah, like, I guess in that sense of like saying like, oh, okay, look at this example and you can, model after maybe this person's work ethic, or look what they did, look at their life schedule, and different things like that. Like he was saying Kobe did for Michael Jordan, or, yeah, whomever.
Okay. Repeat what you said, because you said it so well.
In terms of the question?
Yes. That he meant you, what he was, and the question, yes.
Yes, I'd like to know if you feel that a person can be inspired
And what
by,
does inspire me?
like for example, I'll just use a random example. I like fashion. I like to think outside of the box when it
Right.
comes to that. So if I see someone, or when I see someone that shares a similar style aesthetic, I might be inspired by something that that person is doing in terms of that, while still maintaining my own individual sense of style, but maybe taking inspiration from that person, or when it comes to my writing or whatever it is that I'm doing, and have, you know, a light that I enjoy. I'll just
Oh, okay.
leave it at that.
And what do you're a creative person, right? What do you think about that?
I think throughout my life I've been inspired by other people, but there's always this element for me, and this is just my own experience, where it feels, how do I say it, almost false, because it's like I'm looking to someone else who's already done something, and it doesn't feel authentic to me. But granted, like we live in a world now where it's like almost everything's been done. Like there's no new
Right.
anything. So I don't know. I do think, and this is something I've been kind of seeing in my own life, is that when I look at other people or other, like he was describing Hassan about success, it's like if I compare myself to Michael Jordan's success, then I'm limiting God's ability to make success for me in my own life.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if it's good to look at other people, because it's almost like you're trying to control a certain thing, and like we don't know the orchestration of God's plan. And so if we put ourselves in like a box, or oh, I want to be like so and so because I want their success, or I want their materialism, or I want their fame, or whatever it is, like we're not allowing God's path to unfold before us.
What do you say about that?
Well, I think comparing and inspiring are, I don't want to conflate. I wouldn't want to conflate the two. I think they're separate.
Can you be inspired without comparing?
Sure.
You can?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
It has nothing to do with comparing or saying, well, I'm not successful enough, or I'm not at my optimal level in whatever it is, and comparing myself to where someone else is. It's just being inspired by certain elements, because there's nothing new underneath the sun. So I think that, you know, what I was asking you is what are your thoughts on
Right.
inspiring versus being like, attaining to be like someone?
I know that for me, I have learned to do certain things because somebody else knew how to do it. They had a talent. I'll use building a house. I don't know how to build a house, but let's say I saw somebody really great at building a house and put the nails in the right place and make it work. And then I was like, oh, I want to build a house. So I would ask them, what are the steps to building this house? And I would get the practical steps from that. But as far as looking at how much look like they rich from it, or they're famous from it, they get all the glory because of it. They live on a big hill. If you can leave all that out, and you can take this trade, but stay yourself, and I think that's what I hear you saying, but stay yourself, and your talent will come out, and your design will be different than Michael Jordan jumping up at a ball. Let's say somebody, let's say that, because he did use Michael Jordan, I think, right?
Yeah,
Let's say that Michael Jordan was good at running down the track, jumping up, and he throw his tongue out of his mouth and throw the ball up, right? Didn't he do something like that?
Yes.
And so if I wanted to learn how Michael did get to that point, I would go to Michael. Michael, how did you learn to play the ball? How did you learn the ball? And I'll have him show me how to bounce the ball and run, but I ain't gonna lick my tongue out. I'm not gonna think about how much money I'm gonna make from it. I'm not gonna think about how famous I'm gonna get from it. I'm not gonna think about all the glorious things that he has gotten from it, because then you'll become like him and your true design will not come. Because God has given you a special talent, right? But you'll lose your special talent because you didn't just learn the practical jumping the ball thing. You're now acting like that person on court, and you will never be your best at it because you're not creating your own. I remember, and I thought about this when I was growing up, the old ladies used to get together during the year, the end of the year, and make quilts. And they would put these things up, what they call horses, I think. Put the quilt on, they would design these different quilts. But none of them never tried to be like the other designer. They would sit there and chat and have fun, and they would comment on each other. And those quilts turned out to be beautiful in color and different designs and everything, because no one was trying to be like the other one. They weren't jealous of each other, but they learned from each other. And if you could do it that way, it'll be fine. If you could be inspired just with the practical talent, but nothing else, no other form of identity from it, you'll be great at what you do. That make sense?
Yes.
Yeah. And that way, if the fame and the glory don't come, that's fine. You're being yourself. If the fame and glory comes, that's fine. You're being yourself. You didn't get your identity from that like Michael Jordan did. Because a lot of guys look at Michael Jordan, they like the way he played ball, but they love the cheers and the applause and the money and the commercials and the glory and the fame. That's what the problem is.